What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another transfer deadline special. We do have just under an hour to go until the end of the window, until that door slams shut on the transfer window until January. It's also important to note as well that you have until 11 o'clock tonight to get those papers in, and then you have until 1 in the morning to get those deals completed. So maybe there is some more work in the pipeline, more business in the pipeline. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
You never know in transfer deadline day. Things change very, very quickly. So we're going to be here in case any late deals do materialise for Spurs. Doesn't look very likely at the moment. Sorry. There's a couple of deals potentially still going on, but at the moment it's slim pickings, as we say.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to give you a bit of an update where we're at the moment. We're going to go through the squad and see how it's looking at the moment. And then we're going to get you guys on to have your say on the transfer window. So if you want to join us, the link should be in the community section. And if it's not, it will be there very, very soon. But let's start off with the Tottenham update. And we're going to start off talking about Chelsea's Trevor Chalobah. And Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham approached Chelsea to ask for Trevor Chalobah on loan deal. No green light from Chelsea, difficult due to rival and formula of the deal. Complicated deal while Forest still trying to make a permanent deal happen for Chalobah, but no green light on the player's side. Matt Law says Chelsea aware of Tottenham sniffing around Chalobah, but not yet clear what the exact terms of any offer would be. Once they are, they will have a decision to make. Unclear whether or not Chalobah will consider it. I mean, there's a lot of things unclear over here. And Nazar Kinsella says Trevor Chalobah is still firmly expected to remain at Chelsea. No deals with Tottenham or anyone else close. And finally, Lyle Thomas says that Tottenham tentatively exploring a late deal for Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea. Not many deals done between the clubs, but new regime at Stamford Bridge these days. Let's see. Can you see this being any sort of possibility?
Well, from Chelsea's side and Chalobah's side, I do think he's kind of surplus to requirements because they've got so many centre-backs right now, Chelsea. And even when one got injured for Fana, very soon after they signed Disasi for big money. So if that doesn't tell Trevor Chalobah he's not really wanted at Chelsea, I don't know what does. But again, we've left it very, very late in the window, last few hours to try and make this deal happen.
Less than an hour.
Yeah, exactly. So whether we probably run out of time or whether even Chelsea want to deal with us at this late stage is probably unlikely. I would say I'd like to believe we can get this done. And I've still got my question marks on the player himself. I think he's a pretty good player. I've been fairly impressed with him when he's played for Chelsea. But from what I understand, he was kind of like a defensive mid who got converted into a centre-back in a back three under Tuchel, played on that right-sided centre-back role. And he was quite good there. But whether he could fit in like a back two as a centre-back is, I think, big question marks. He is, because of his time in midfield, I think he's quite a good ball-playing centre-back. But the big question mark for me is defensively, whether he's like can physically compete with some of the forwards in the Premier League without being bullied. I think he's like got good pace and stuff like that. Maybe Postecoglou could work with him. To be honest, I'm just so hungry for a centre-back. Like, yeah, bring him in. Why not?
I'll take anyone.
I'll take him. I'm starving. I am starving. Give me a centre-back. So would I take it? Would I be excited about it? Yes, because it's a last-minute deal. But like in terms of like, if you asked me at the beginning of the window, is he someone I would target? Probably not. I would be interested in bringing him in at this late stage because I don't want to go into the rest of the next 6 months at least with only Sanchez and Dyer as backup. And if you've got the offer of Trevor Chalobah to come in and a homegrown English centre back, I'll probably just roll the dice and say, yeah, well, I'll give it a go. But I wouldn't say he's like a centre back that perfectly. I think he probably fits Postecoglou's system, but whether he's a centre-back who's good enough for us, I think there's definitely question marks about that.
Yeah, how would you compare him to like Lloyd Kelly or someone like that?
How would I compare him to Lloyd Kelly? I think Lloyd Kelly's more of an actual centre-back than Chalobah. And I think he's played there all his career. And I think Chalobah's only really stood out in a back three. He's one of those defenders, I think he needs the cover near him.
Has he played in a back four? Have we seen him in a back four?
I haven't seen him. I think maybe he's played a few times for Chelsea, but hasn't really impressed there, which is why he's probably looking to leave. So I don't know. I'd probably rather roll the dice on Lloyd Kelly than Trevor Chalobah if given the offer. But Chalobah can play on the right side as well. Potentially could play on the left. So a bit of versatility. I just don't see him as an actual centre-back. So it's a bit of an odd one. But considering it's this late and we literally don't have any options, if we can get it done, I guess that would be a positive thing.
I think it would be a positive thing. I don't mind bringing in someone like that as a backup, just as like a lone stopgap till the end of the season, and then we can potentially, here we go again, next summer we'll fill that role. But I think he's better than Eric Dyer, probably better than Davinson Sanchez as well. So at 10:15 on deadline day, when the deadline shuts at 11, then, I mean, beggars can't really be choosers at the moment, can they? So I would take him in.
100%. But look, if we've left it very, very late, it's going to be very unlikely that there's no sign of this deal being close or anything. So any kind of talk seems very, as people have said, tentative, lighthearted, very much like just seeing whether there's a deal to be done. So don't expect any fireworks, but you never know. You never know. We might get an update in the next 20 minutes or so saying this deal is on, and given that he's in London, I'm sure medical and stuff won't be a problem to sort. It's whether the deal can be done between the clubs. And we know how Levy likes to posture and negotiate, and that usually takes time. Whether
it take months.
Exactly. So
or hours.
whether we can do that in such a short space of time, I think is very doubtful. I would say that the chance of this happening are probably like in the single-digit percentage.
Yeah. Most probably. But another defender who is currently in London is Tosin Adarabioyo. Fabrizio Romano broke not long ago that Tosin Adarabioyo to Monaco deal off, no agreement with Fulham. 90 Minute reporting that Tottenham still see signing Tosin Adarabioyo from Fulham as a potential centre-back option. So why not make a late push for Tosin Adarabioyo?
Well, we've just got an update from The Athletic saying Tosin will remain at Fulham.
Well, there you go.
So that deal is going to be off, it looks like. But if we're like serious, look, apparently we've been very interested in Tosin throughout the whole window.
Yeah.
I understand that the hold-up was maybe he wanted to go to Monaco and he wasn't so interested in coming to Spurs. But if we were really serious about Tosin coming to Spurs, surely we just try and agree a deal and put the money on the table and just make Tosin make a decision, because if he doesn't want to remain at Fulham, he's not going to sign a contract. Surely Fulham would be willing to do a deal with us for money, but and avoid him going out for free. Maybe Tosin would just rather go for free than sign for Spurs. Maybe that's the sticking point, but I've never really seen us being completely serious on Tosin this whole summer, to be honest, and like really target him to come through the door. So,
have we been serious about anyone apart from the guys that we've actually got in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing we've just been waiting for outgoings, which has been the sticking point, and that's been a big source of frustration. But I would have liked Tosin. I think he's a good centre-back. He would have provided good cover, but this deal ain't happening, it seems.
If I'm a decision maker at Spurs, I'm going to Fulham right now, putting 15-20 million on the table for Tosin Adarabioyo and see what happens.
Yeah, that's what we should be doing if we were serious about getting through the door, but it just seems as though we're not that interested.
It seems though we're just like pretty much just happy just to go in with Sanchez and Dyer as our backups, which is ridiculous, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Ridiculous.
They don't see it as the massive crisis that most fans see it as.
That it is.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving away from the centre-backs, let's talk about Hugo Lloris now, because obviously we know he's not in the plans for Ange Postecoglou. His contract could potentially be ripped up, but there has been some interest in him in the final hours of the window. Martin Hardy saying the Magpies, Newcastle, have offered a season-long loan deal to Hugo Lloris. Newcastle approach has come out of the blue, and there would be a no loan fee, but Lloris has so far turned down the switch to the northeast. Ali Gold says that Hugo Lloris isn't believed to be interested in the move to Newcastle after they made a move to bring him in. It would have been some sort of turn of events. His last game was that 6-1 game against Newcastle, and then it ended up going to join them, but that doesn't seem to be happening. However, Nazar Kinsella says there is some hope at Spurs that Hugo Lloris' hometown Nice could make a late move after releasing Kasper Schmeichel today. Spurs could also decide to cancel the final year of Lloris' contract, but with just under 2 hours of the window to go, that is very much considered a last resort. Matt Law says Nice have now offered a contract to Hugo Lloris, but it's not yet certain whether he will go there. And Sami Mokbel says Nice are trying to sign Hugo Lloris from Tottenham, offer on the table, and Lloris is deciding.
Yeah, and I think this one makes sense. This one has made sense, to be honest, for a while. I remember right at the beginning of the window, we were talking about, will he go back to Nice, his old club? It makes sense for him to end his career there, and a club in France where he can, go back to his hometown. So I think it is a deal that should make sense. I'm not sure why Lloris wouldn't be sure about going to Nice. I think they're, at the moment, they're in quite a good way as well, Nice, in terms of where they're at in the French league. They're doing quite well, if my memory serves me right. I think they had a decent season last season. So I think I think that would be a good move for him if we can get him out the door last minute. If we can get in, I'm not expecting any sort of fees or anything, but wages off the books, it'll be a good move for him instead of like retiring or going around finish ninth. Okay, well, still a mid-table French club. I don't see why. Look, he's not getting anything better. No one wants him. So why not get a decent move to a team like Nice where you can be number one? They've just cancelled Kasper Schmeichel's contract, so there's a space for him there. And surely they'll welcome him back with open arms and maybe he can feel some love again, which he probably hasn't felt in a while. Yeah,
and obviously the fans will really take to him there with him being a Nice boy. And I think it's a great move for him, especially as they have cancelled Kasper Schmeichel's contract. It kind of like just everything kind of fits at the moment for that. So we'll see what happens. There's still under an hour to go. Let's talk about Davinson Sanchez now. Dan Kilpatrick says that Sanchez is expected to remain at Tottenham with interest from Rennes and PSV Eindhoven coming to absolutely nothing. So it looks as though another season for Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because we had offers for him. We could have sold him to Rennes for it would have been a cheap fee, but beggars can't be choosers, and we needed the space to try and get a centre-back. And it seems we would rather keep Sanchez rather than even though we could have got him out, rather than sign a new centre back. I think it's a ridiculous decision from Spurs. They've completely neglected this centre back position. I know they signed Van de Ven for good money, but to only have that and have Sanchez and Dyer as your primary backups when Romero could pick up an injury, Van de Ven could potentially pick up an injury at any moment, and then you're left with these players having an extended run in the team, and that's not a situation that should be happening, or that's fair on the manager who we know wants different options in those positions. As a fan base, these Dyer and Sanchez have just been stinking up the place for so long, and it's so frustrating that it's very much a possibility now that they're going to be getting more game time, and they're going to be, and hopefully not, but it's a good possibility they're going to be costing Spurs points with their defending, and that's a big frustration. But it is what it is. They're going to be part of the team now, and hopefully. Look, Sanchez has shown a bit of improvement since Ange's come in, albeit I thought he was terrible against Fulham. But in other games, he's shown a bit of improvement. If he can carry that on, maybe it won't be as bad as fans think. But I for one, would have just rather, even if it's for a cheap fee, would have rather than got rid, even for nothing, I would rather have got rid and just signed someone else. And that would have been the betterment for the squad and the team.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, I'm much more frustrated about the Dyer situation than I am about the Sanchez situation. But I am frustrated about both of them, to be honest, because we've been talking about this. I mean, how long have we been talking about Dyer and Sanchez just sticking around here? We thought this was the summer finally that, it was going to come to an end. But again, we've gone over another transfer window where 40 minutes left of this transfer window. And still, Dyer and Sanchez are going to be here for another season. And now that leaves us in big trouble if we get an injury at centre-back.
And it's like
massive trouble.
And it's like they've just not made the big decisions, the right decisions, the hierarchy on these centre-back decisions. They've kind of left the decision up to the player when they should have been ruthless and just said, look, you're out. That's it. And whatever offers we get, and if it even meant cancelling contracts, maybe not necessarily Sanchez, but we had offers for Sanchez. But especially when it comes to Dyer, even if it means like cancelling a contract or something, you have to make the tough decisions so that we can move on as a football club. And at the moment, we're just stuck in this situation where we have defenders that aren't fit for purpose. We had our worst ever defensive record last season with 63 goals conceded. Now, I know that's probably going to improve with Ange this season, and we've already seen improvements if our first back four is starting. But at the moment, we're just an injury away from having those defenders playing a crucial part again. And it's just really frustrating. It should never have been this case, but here it is.
Yeah, and we got a scare against Fulham, didn't we, with Van de Ven hobbling off towards the end. And that should have sent alarm bells in the hierarchy's thinking towards urgently getting a centre-back in. because just literally one more injury. How many injuries does little niggles does Romero pick up in a season? How many times does he get suspended? I mean, it's just inevitable it's going to happen, isn't it? It's just completely inevitable. But let's talk about Brennan Johnson now. His medical has been completed, and Fabrizio Romano says that Brennan Johnson has just signed his Tottenham contract. Announcement imminent, happening shortly. And Sammy Mockbell says that Brennan Johnson is a Tottenham player. An announcement will be later tonight. So hopefully it'll be live when the announcement does come. But at least there's some positive news within the shit.
Yeah, and look, I am happy about the Brennan Johnson deal. I know it's a big outlay, but I think it's a good player with high potential. I think he really will help out the forward line. I think he offers us that pace in the forward line that we are missing. It's like that one kind of route of attack which we don't really have right now in the forward line. So I am really happy with Brennan Johnson. I do think he can really provide a good option and makes the attack more unpredictable with the options that he does bring to the forward line. And I hope the fan base welcome him with open arms, and I think he's going to be a really good young player for us. So I'm excited about this deal coming forward, and I welcome Brennan Johnson. I think he's going to be a real player for us.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that is your Tottenham update going into the final half an hour of the transfer window. I see a lot of people in the comments saying Gift Orban's going to Fulham. Is that any truth to that?
Haven't seen anything.
I'll be fuming if that happens.
If that happens,
I'll tell you that.
Would be.
I'll be absolutely fuming if that happens. But anyway, that is the Tottenham update. Let's talk about the squad at the moment. Let's go through position by position and see where we're at with half an hour to go left of the window. Starting off with the goalkeepers. A whole host of goalkeepers here.
Can anyone play centre-back?
Vicario, Whiteman, Austin, Fraser Forster, Hugo Lloris. You do imagine Hugo Lloris will be gone. So that will leave us with 4 keepers. You don't imagine Brandon Austin or Alfie Whiteman will see any sort of minutes. And even now we're at the Carabao Cup. You don't really expect Forster to play any minutes, to be honest. But Forster will be our backup with Vicario as number 1. I don't have too many problems with the goalkeeping situation.
No, I like Vicario. I think he's started life for Spurs really well. Forster, look, he's not my favourite goalkeeper. I think he had a decent game against Fulham before the penalties. So if need be, if he has to step in for a few games, I'm not too unhappy about that. So the goalkeeping situation is fine with me. It's not a bad situation.
Oh, and by the way, Romano has just tweeted 4 seconds ago saying Trevor Chalobah stays at Chelsea.
So that deal is definitely off now. There you go. No centre-backs. Is Ryan Nelson available? Ryan Nelson, anyone?
What about that Victor Nelson from Galatasaray? Bring him in. Straight Sopford and Ndombele.
Ledley King, can he fill in for a few games?
We've got Michael Dawson on the books.
You know what?
Well.
If you can get Ledley King fit, I'd rather him than Eric Dyer, honestly.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, same with me. But in terms of the centre-backs, this is what we're dealing with going into the season. 5 options: Davinson Sanchez, Couto Romero, Mickey van der Ven, Eric Dyer, Ashley Phillips, potentially Alfie Dorrington as well. But look, you've obviously got 2 great players there in Mickey van der Ven and Couto Romero. Ashley Phillips is a complete unknown quantity. And then Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez are the odd ones out. I mean, Eric Dyer really is the odd one out because he's just not been seen whatsoever. At least Davinson Sanchez has had minutes this season. He came in against Brentford on the first day for the concussed Couto Romero. He played the Fulham game as well. But Dyer hasn't even seen a bench appearance, never mind minutes on the pitch. So I don't know what we're doing here with Eric Dyer.
Yeah, and I wonder what it's going to look like if he's in the squad not getting picked at all, considering he was a valuable member of the squad, for the last few years, and he probably sees himself probably saw himself as one of the leaders in the squad and a main player. Conte said he could be one of the best centre backs in the world in his position like 18 months ago. He was in the England squad not so long ago. When was it? It was 6 months ago or so. He was in the England squad. Yeah. So having him just kind of hanging around the squad, not being picked at all, it can't be good for him, and it can't be good for the morale in the squad either, can it? I'm kind of a bit worried about that situation coming around, and him just kind of warming the bench, not even warming the bench, but just basically being ousted from the squad for a year. Surely that's no good for him as well. So is it a case of the club coming to an agreement with him with his contract? But they have to do that in the next half an hour or so before the window shuts if he wants to find a new club this season. So it's a completely
unless he goes to Turkey or Saudi.
Yeah, unless he goes to Turkey or Saudi, I guess. But I don't know if he'll want to go to any of those places. So I think that's a real concern, because you want to create a tight-knit group, and it's hard to do that when you've got someone like an experienced international like Eric Dyer just not being picked whatsoever. Like, it's hard to that negativity not to seep in sometimes, and those things don't get quantified in football, like team spirit and morale and of that family feel that Ange is trying to foster. And having situations like that just isn't helpful. And not even to couple with the fact that we do have to rely on him. Like, I'm so worried about, you know, his pace when we're playing a high line against pacey forwards, which a lot of pretty much every Premier League team has in this day and age, you know, fast players in the forward line. So let's just hope we don't ever have to rely on him. But at the moment, we might have to if injuries happen. So it's a bit of a worry. I, for one, would rather try and bed in Phillips and Dorrington, but then you got on that situation, you've got to manage it, because if they're not ready, you don't want to put them in and just kill their confidence. And what happens if, you know, you put them into a game where you get battered 5-0 because they're making mistakes and they're getting bullied by, you know, forwards. That's, you know, you don't want that situation either. So it's a tough situation to manage for Ange Postecoglou, but he should never have been put in this situation.
Of course he shouldn't. I mean, we're letting another manager down, to be honest. I know, you know, we're going to play the least amount of football that we've probably ever played in a Premier League season for a long time. But literally, I keep saying it, one injury in the centre-back positions and we're literally out on our knees. It's ridiculous to be in this situation once again, Tottenham Hotspur. But let's look at the left-backs. We've got Destiny, Ryan Sessegnon and Ben Davies. And again, one injury to Destiny Udogie, and the left-back situation is a complete mess, unless Van der Ven maybe can move to left-back, but then that leaves us with the situation at centre-back.
If we had another centre-back, it wouldn't be such a problem, but we don't, so you can't really do that with Van der Ven. Ben Davies didn't have a very good game against Fulham. I think when it comes to Ben Davies, if you had like a Porro on the other side, maybe it'll be less of a problem. But
you know they'll just target him every single time.
But then you have Van der Ven to help.
Any pacey player, you do have Van der Ven to help. And I guess Adama Traore was giving Ben Davies a torrid time, but Van der Ven did help quite a lot in that case. But I mean, you need better. And we're just not doing Ange, the credit that he deserves and giving him the players that he deserves to work with. Again, the backup players, the fringe players, are just clearly not good enough in these positions.
I do agree, but I do think left back, in terms of having a backup left back to Udogie, having Ben Davies as a backup left back to Udogie is not as much of a problem as the other areas. That is something in probably next summer, or probably not in January, but definitely next summer we definitely have to address. I think it's probably enough for now. I think, considering we don't have that many games, hopefully Udogie can stay fit. Maybe Sessegnon could do a job. You never know once he's back from injury. But I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm not gonna rely on that. But I agree. We're in a similar situation, but I don't think it's as bad having Davies. I think he can do a job here and there if need be. Ben Davies, and I believe Dyer can't.
I actually think, like, if Destiny gets injured, why not just shift Emerson over to the left-hand side? I would actually prefer that than Ben Davies or Ryan Sessegnon, even though Ryan Sessegnon's got a long-time injury. But I'd prefer to see Emerson shifted over to the left.
Yeah, potentially. That could be a solution as well.
But let's look at the right backs. The right backs not looking too bad. Emerson and Pedro Porro. I'm happy with that, to be honest. I don't really have too many problems with that. I like that they give us different kind of things as well. Maybe in a game where we need to be really defensively solid against like the Arsenals or the Man Cities, you could play Emerson, and Porro has been doing really well the last couple of games. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah,
one of the only positions where we actually have good depth. We have a good starter. We have good competition. Ange must be loving the right back slot at the moment, because it's just one of the only positions he doesn't have to worry about.
Look at these midfielders. We got 9 midfielders on our books coming into the season, from Harvey White, Ollie Skip, Gio Lo Celso, Pepper Sarr, James Maddison, Yves Bissouma, Rodrigo Bentancur, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Tanguy Ndombele. The players that are not going to see any minutes there are going to be Tanguy Ndombele and Harvey White. You've got Ollie Skip on the fringes. You got Højbjerg on the fringes. Bentancur is itching to get back, apparently. The favoured 3 at the moment is obviously Maddison, Bissouma, and Sarr. But I think you're going to couple Maddison with Giovanni Lo Celso, couple Bissouma maybe with Bentancur or Højbjerg, or Bentancur with Sarr and Bissouma with Højbjerg. So that does leave maybe Skip as maybe an odd one out there, but I'm not too sure about that. He hasn't really shown much in an Ange system so far. But Ndombele, we need to find a resolution for. Harvey White, I mean, he's just been here for too long, and he never gets any sort of serious minutes, so he needs to go. But apart from that, I'm fairly happy with the midfield options.
Yeah, I'm fine with the midfield options. I think we got good variety. It would have been good to get someone like Conor Gallagher through the door just to add a bit more offensive ability, because you've got Lo Celso and Maddison who can play that 10, but in terms of the 8s, look, we've got Bentancur, we've got Skip, and we've got Sarr, all very good players. But whether they're as good as someone like a Gallagher in and around the penalty area, I think Gallagher would probably be an upgrade on that kind of situation. So it would be good to have someone with a bit more technical ability. But you know what? Bentancur's a fantastic midfielder. Højbjerg's a good midfielder. Sarr's been brilliant so far. So I'm not too worried about the 8. I'm more worried a bit about if Basuma gets injured, who's going to play the 6. Højbjerg's been playing that role so far, but whether he can do that role on a long stretch of games, whether he's going to provide what kind of Basuma can provide is big question marks about that. So I think a backup to the 6 is a bit of an issue. Skip can probably do it as well, but just no one offers anywhere near what Basuma can do. But then again, if you're signing someone who can offer what Basuma can, then it's going to be very difficult to bench them as well. So I'm happy with the midfield options. I'm not going to be downhearted about it. I think we've got good variety, and especially when Bentancur gets back fit as well, I think we've got a really good midfield.
Moving on to the wingers, Bryan Hill ended up staying at Spurs. We got Decky, we got Brennan Johnson, Heung-min Son, Manuel Solomon, Ivan Perisic. Very left heavy in terms of team players' favoured positions. So you've got Perisic, who's a natural left. You've got Solomon, who's a natural left. Son, who's a natural left. And Bryan Hill, who is a natural left as well. Kulusevski and Brennan is both natural rights. Now, I'm happy that we brought in Brennan Johnson because we needed another natural right winger in the squad, in my opinion. You're looking at Heung-min Son potentially to move central. Kulusevski, could he play on the left? I mean, if Son does move central, who would you see the first choice wingers being?
At the moment, it would be Perisic. Perisic on the left. Obviously, I think Kulusevski at the moment probably has to show on the right. I know we've got Brennan Johnson through the door, but he's going to have to earn his place. And he might be able to do that. I don't think he'll be able to do that straight away, because I think Kulusevski's a very good player. And also in terms of how Ange likes to play the system, I think Kulusevski can do it. I am a bit worried about the left-hand side. I think we've got 3 good players there, but then all 3 of them, in terms of how Ange likes to play the wing system, I don't know. I think Perisic has been good when he's been coming off the bench and maybe for cameos in 20 minutes. But if he has to start games, I do question whether he's going to be up to it, to be honest. And he had a very bad performance against Fulham. I think he thrives maybe when he's playing against tired legs and the space is opened up a bit. But I do think he's still a good player. He still has his qualities. But I think age is definitely catching up to him in terms of his physicality and his ability to beat a player.
Perry is definitely one to come and make an impact off the bench out of those for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see him start on a consistent basis.
Solomon, I've got question marks about Solomon, why we signed him, to be honest, because if we the only reason we should have signed Solomon is we've really believed he's a midfielder, a winger who can make a serious impact on the first team straight away. And especially he should be a midfielder who we see as above someone like Perisic, like in the pecking order. If we have Perisic at the club and then we sign a winger on a free transfer, you surely have to believe that he's better, that he's at least better than what you've got right now, because you're desperate to sign someone. So the fact that he's been continually picking Perisic over Manuel Solomon at the moment is a bit of a worry. Hopefully that situation can change, but he's now definitely not going to get a look in on the right because Johnson's there. So even if Kulusevski needs a rotation option, Solomon was doing that job before, but that's not going to be an option now because Johnson's there. And on the left-hand side, it's just depending on how we see Son. If Son's going to continue to play on the left and then Perisic is coming on for him, where is he ever going to get game time? Now, if Son moves in centre, maybe there's an opening for him on that left-hand side, and potentially if he can overtake Perisic, I can see him getting game time, but he has to be showing a bit more right now as well on the pitch if he's going to earn that spot. But at the moment, it just looks like a bit of a pointless signing, to be honest, when I look at it. And I questioned it at the time, and it's seeming more and more pointless at the moment, but it is very early days. Let's hope he can kind of show he's better than Perisic and start getting more game time and maybe earn some minutes on that left-hand side. Am I delighted with the winger options. I'm pretty happy. I'm happy. I think we can improve in the future, and I envisage us dipping into the market potentially down the line. But I think for now we have more than enough to move forward.
Now Brian Hill is here as well. I really want to see him make an impact. I want to see him get some minutes because how
is he going to get minutes?
Yeah, I know. Maybe he gets minutes. He's another one that gets minutes if Son can move centrally. I mean, who do you think's a better player, Brian Hill or Manor Solomon?
Who do I think is a better player? Probably.
Or who could give more to the Ange system as well?
It's difficult to say. I think Solomon has a more explosive pace, and I think he's probably better at kind of using his pace to take players on. But I think Brian Hill was a bit more of an intricate player. So I think when you're doing like intricate build-up in and around the penalty area, I'd much rather have a Brian Hill there than a Manor Solomon. I think Manor Solomon enjoys space a bit more than Brian Hill. I think Brian Hill enjoys playing in the tight-knit spaces. So I think they both have their pros and their cons.
Doesn't Solomon prefer playing in those tight-knit spaces as well?
I think he prefers the space. I think he likes playing a bit more space than Brian Hill, in my opinion, than Manor, in my opinion, from what I've seen anyway. I think he struggles when he's restricted of space, from what I've seen. So I think physically as well, I think probably Solomon's a bit better physically. He's less likely to get bumped off the ball than Brian Hill. I think Brian
Hill's got a higher ceiling than Manor.
Yeah, potentially. But I guess Hill can play on the left around the outside, but I think his best performances at Spurs have been on the right, but it's few and far between. He's barely seen any minutes. So I think it's by the by. I think they're very close, but I just struggle to see either of them getting minutes with our options right now. They're literally both third choice in either position.
Yeah.
So and we've got no European football, so I struggle to see where they're getting minutes right now.
I feel so sorry for Brian Hill. He's always like the last thought at this football club. Every single transfer window. This time he doesn't end up getting his move, even though there were rumours coming into it. But I really believe in his talents. I think he can really excel in an Ange system as well. He was one of the players that I was really excited to see what he could do in an Ange Postecoglou system. And it's a bit frustrating that we are kind of like overstocked in these areas now. And there will be players, most likely Solomon and Hill, that are not going to see many minutes this season. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Perisic kind of unfolds during the season because he ain't getting any younger, so I can't see him getting better throughout the season. So I think what you're seeing with Perisic now is probably what you're going to get, and he's probably only going to get worse from here on out. So there could be a possibility throughout the season at one point that one of these players does overtake Perisic. But right now, obviously, no one will because Perisic is showing good level. Yeah, exactly. So it's just going to be very difficult. I think it's going to be very difficult to break into the team. And as well, that even if they are going to get minutes, it's going to be as subs as well. I just see very little starting opportunities. And that's really where you get to show your stuff. I mean, yes, you can have good cameo appearances, but unless you're absolutely killing it in these cameo appearances to earn a start, it's going to be very difficult to break into the first team and via that. So unless there are injuries and stuff, I think there's going to be very little opportunities for these guys. Yeah, well, look, it's a long season ahead. Many things can happen. You never know. An injury can happen to a player and someone can take their chance in the team and stuff like that. Many things happen like this during a season, so we never know. But I really want to see Brian Hill get his chance this season. I really do, because I think he can take it. I really believe in his qualities. But in terms of the strikers, we are in dire straits with the striker situation. We've got Richarlison and Veliz. We know Veliz ain't going to be having a look in first half of the season. So really, we're looking at Richarlison and Heung-min Son potentially. Do you think it's going to come to a situation where Heung-min Son is going to take that spot of Richarlison? If it keeps going like this, 100%, I would already drop Richarlison and play Son there, just based on what I've seen from Son centrally in his limited minutes compared to what Richarlison has been getting in his 70 long minutes in the first few games of the season. I think Son has probably shown more in his little cameo centrally than Richarlison has all season. So for me, I definitely see a situation where Son can overtake him. But I'm still, look, I think Richarlison will start on the weekend, and I still hope and I still believe he can turn it around. I still think there's a good player in there. So I believe Richarlison, look, he's shown in the Premier League he can be a double-digit goal-scoring striker, and that's all we need. We don't need a striker who's going to hit 30 goals. He just needs to be contributing and hitting 10 goals a season at the moment. If we can share the goals around, that will be enough, but he has to be showing so much more than what he's showing now, because right now he's just a bit of a liability to the team in our build
build-up. When the ball gets to him, we lose it every time. He gives the ball away way too early, and he is missing chances at the moment. That is a big problem. Now, he does come with his qualities. He stretches teams, he runs in behind, and he's a bit of a nuisance for opposition. So hopefully, if he can start adding that quality to his game, which I know he has, I don't know. I can't keep blaming confidence. At some point, you have to say, like, when it's been going on for this long, maybe this is just what he is at the moment. So I'm going to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt, but if this goes on for too much longer, this level of performance, I'm not even interested in just the goals. It's just the level of performance that I'm really disappointed in and really frustrated in. And I think you can see Ange getting frustrated with it as well. So that just needs to really change, and he has to believe in that. But I think he's a good player, and I think I back him to turn it around. If he can we shouldn't have too much of a problem. And as you say, Son can play that role. So do we have enough long term? Considering we sold Harry Kane this summer, you look at those forward options and you are struggling a bit to be happy with it. But I do think there's enough goals in this team to at least get us through this season.
You say that you would have moved Son there already with what Richarlison has shown in the first few games. How long do you think Ange gives it?
Well, there's an international break, so it's hard to know what's going to happen after that. But I think he's already considering it, to be honest. I think he's already considering dropping Richarlison with what he's shown, because Son can just do simple things like get a layoff to a teammate and hold the ball up and link play effectively without giving the ball away constantly. And I think he's already thinking about dropping him, but I do think that goal will just about keep him in the team this weekend. But I honestly think if he has another shocking performance this weekend, I think he has to come out of the team. And I'm sorry to say that, and I don't want to kill his confidence, but I just think at the end of the day, Ange just has to do what's best for the team. And if Son can provide that role, and we can have someone who can do a job out wide, that has to be it. And that's not to say that Richarlison is never going to get back in the team, because of course there'll be opportunities. But I think it's a big game tomorrow for Richarlison. He has to start showing more quality. Otherwise, for me, he comes out of the team.
Just a little update. Hugo Lloris has turned down Nice, by the way.
What?
He's turned them down.
What are you doing, Hugo?
But, by the way, Ange Postecoglou's embargoed section of the press conference is live on the channel right now. And one thing that was said on there is that he was talking about Hugo Lloris, and he said, even if Hugo Lloris stays, he will not be registered for the Premier League squad. So having said that, let's have a look at this next graphic we've got and see where we're at in terms of foreign quota, homegrown quota. So we're only allowed 17 foreign players or non-homegrown players. And so far we've got 18 now, because Lloris has been ruled out pretty much. So one of these players is going to have to miss out. And that one player is obviously going to be Tanguy Ndombele, isn't it?
Yeah. So Lloris is leaving. So you say take Lloris out there. At the moment, it's going to have to be Ndombele, because I think Dyer, as much as I would like to leave him out, there might be a situation when we need him, unfortunately, because of the situation we've left ourselves at centre back. Same with Sanchez, so I can't see him being left out. I think it'll be too harsh on Bryan Hill because he's been injured, so you can't just leave him out or leave him out. And then everyone else is a valuable member of the squad, so it just leaves Ndombele, and I think the situation will be he'll be the one left out, in my opinion.
And also, we're overly stocked in that position as well.
Exactly. So he's not a necessity. So I think Ndombele will be left out, and then that leaves him in a situation where if he's not in the squad and doesn't even have the possibility to play, even if he could train as hard as he wants and then be the best player in training. But if he's left out of the squad, he can't physically be picked. So at that point, surely he's got to reconsider not moving to other teams, and he has to make some sort of compromise just so he can get on the pitch. And at that point, surely Turkey or Saudi has to become a bit more of an attractive option for him.
In terms of the homegrown players, we need 8. We've currently got 9 with Fraser Forster, Ben Davis, Maddison, Whiteman, Austin, Sessegnon, Skip, White and Johnson. Johnson was a valuable pickup because we needed, maybe not for this season, but definitely for future seasons. And you can see why we were desperately going to try and get homegrown players on the last day of the window. When you're looking at it, out of all of those homegrown players, who's going to be here in a year's time? Because Forster might not be. If you bring that up again, sorry. Forster might not be. Harvey White most definitely will not be. Sessegnon probably won't be. Austin and Whiteman won't be. So that leaves us with, and Ben Davis might not even be, but let's assume Ben Davis will be. You got Davis, Maddison, Skip, and Johnson. And there's even question marks about Skip as well, to be honest. But let's assume that he will be here. So that's 4 players.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Postecoglou was asked about that in his press conference. Like, I think it was Alistair Gold said, like, you've been seemingly targeting only homegrown players in this deadline day. Is that something you're focused on, essentially? And he said, we have the homegrown numbers at the moment, but we have to be looking at the future, and we have to be thinking about not just this window and this summer, but future summers as well. And yes, we have 8 kind of homegrown players right now, but that might not be the case in a year's time. And we have to start thinking about the future. And we might be in a situation where we need homegrown players. So that has to be the focus right now. So I think it makes sense that we're going for homegrown. I think Brennan Johnson, obviously, that's part of the reason we went for him. Yeah, and I can't see too many of them being part of it. But then again, maybe some other, maybe I'm trying to think of any youth players who might be not homegrown,
not homegrown,
as in who are not homegrown now, who might go into homegrown. But I don't think any of them right now are in that boat. You have to be 21 and moving to 22 next summer. So I don't think anyone's really in that boat right now. So,
and we're actually lucky that Pape Sarr and Udogie are only 20. Because they would have taken up a foreign quota in the squad, but next season is probably their last season of being in the under-21s. So we've got another season to worry about that. But homegrown quota for next season is going to be a problem.
It's definitely going to be a problem. So look, for now it's okay. It's okay for now in the short term, and we can get through the season with the numbers. But next season it's definitely going to provide big issues if we're not sorting that issue out. So if we're going to be going for more signings in January, I think expect them to be homegrown, to be honest.
They're going to have to be because, like I said, half of these players are going to be leaving next summer, if not the summer after. So it's going to be very worrying in terms of going into next season. But look, in terms of this season and the squad, has what you think that we can achieve changed at all?
I said before the season, 5th place. And I think we can achieve it, but we just have to be lucky with injuries, and that's not something you want to rely on because we know definitely, like Spurs historically, and most clubs, to be honest, historically, that you pick up injuries. That's just a natural part of the game, isn't it? You have to expect injuries, and you have to kind of plan for that. Obviously, when an injury crisis happens, then you just got to consider that unlucky. But we don't even need an injury crisis to be in trouble. We're one or two injuries from relying on players who really don't fit the system, especially in defence. So that is a concern. I am really happy with the starting 11. I think we have a really good 11. And considering we're not in Europe and we're out of the Cup as well, we should be able to manage, hopefully, the season with that starting 11. And if we have to make 1 or 2 changes, hopefully not at centre-back and maybe other positions, I think we can handle that. For example, let's say Porro gets injured. I think we can handle that. Let's say we get an injury to midfielder. I think we can handle that. It's not a big problem. If we do get injury...
Basuma.
Basuma's probably, would be a big problem. But even a winger, if we get an injury to a winger, I don't think it's going to be disastrous. But if we do get a big injury to a centre-back, it will hurt us. And I think, not to say that we're going to completely collapse as a team just because we're playing Sanchez, but there will be games where it will be a tight game and maybe we're the better team, but we haven't put away our chances, we're only 1-0 up or something, and then they might make a mistake and they might cost us a goal and we drop points, and that might happen if they get an extended run of the team. That's what I'm worried about. So has my expectations wildly changed because of this window? They haven't wildly changed. I'm less confident of getting top 4 potentially than if we would have addressed these issues. I still think we're going to be I still really believe we can challenge for a top 5 place, and if 5th of Champions League, that's a good achievement. So I don't think it's wildly changed, but I definitely think on my expectations taking a bit of a hit because those key areas just haven't been addressed.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I would say if we get an injury for the odd game here, odd game there, it's not going to be such a big problem. But if it's any extended amount of time, that's when the problems really start for us. And I'm looking at centre-back and left-back. I think we can maybe cover it everywhere else on the pitch except for centre-back and left-back. And when you see how bad that defence was last season, you would have thought they would really try and shore up that defence they've shored up the starting defence because you've got Destiny, who's brand new. You've got Pedro Porro, who he brought in last January. And you've got got Van de Ven as well, who's brand new. So they've done it to a certain extent, but they could have pushed the boat out a bit and got us some cover as well, because like we keep saying, any sort of injuries in the back line, left back or centre back, I think it's going to be troublesome for us. And I still think we can finish 5th if we get lucky with those injuries and don't have long-term injuries in the back line.
Yeah.
But Sanchez can come in on the odd game here, odd game there and do a job. We've seen him do that before. So it's going to be worrying. It's going to be worrying going into the season and hoping every time a player goes down injured on the pitch now, we're just going to have our hearts in our mouths.
Especially defenders.
And you look at it already. In the first 3 games of the season, Romero went off with concussion and Van de Ven was hobbling off at Fulham. So we've already had 2 scares. You would have thought that was the moment where they would think, all right, come on, we need to go get it now.
Yeah, 100%. We needed a complete revamp. That's what was required of the backline. The backline was so bad last season. It wasn't just like a standard season defensively where we had a bit of defensive trouble. It was a complete mess. We had so many problems last season defensively. They were just not fit for purpose whatsoever. It wasn't a case of like they had some good games and stuff. It was atrocious. It was our worst ever defensive season in the Premier League. It was that bad. So that requires a major revamp. And yes, you could argue, oh, you can't get all done in one window, but that was what was required because of the situation we've been left in. It wasn't a situation where we can let this fester for another season. It had to be dealt with this summer as a matter of urgency. This was an urgent matter to deal with, and they've neglected it, and that's the most disappointing thing. So, look, we'll have to just wait and see what happens with our centre-backs and just hope that they stay injury-free. I believe Sanchez, if we have to rely on him, and as long as we have majority of the rest of our starting 11 okay, like I think we can handle that. Not to the same extent as like he'll be brilliant, but I think if he has to have a run in the team, I'm not happy about it, but I'm not overly concerned about it as long as it's not too much of a stretch. But if Dyer is, I am, because I think he's just a natural target which people are going to look to exploit. And then past that, well, obviously we have no one, but that's just the worry. If Van de Ven gets injured, we have no natural left centre back. Do you reckon Davis gets there ahead of Dyer?
Well, I think Sanchez will probably be the first one, but if you're asking me between Davis and Dyer, I think Davis, yeah. Yeah,
I think Davis is probably a better fit, as much as he would also be a problem. So, look, what would you rate the overall then, if you're looking at the window? And you'll have to give him the window out of 10. Let's say that whatever's happened now happens. It doesn't look like any more deals are happening tonight. To be honest,
let's call it what it is. So outgoings: Winks and Kane on permanence. Loans to Roden, Spence, Reguilon, and Tanganga. Tanganga has a potential obligation.
We just got the tweet from Ali Gold.
Oh, he's got it now.
We just got the tweet.
What, 6 minutes to deadline?
6 minutes to. Looks like Spurs incomings are done with Brennan Johnson's arrival. Strange window on the face of it. If they're sold one of their greatest players, Postecoglou claims all of their transfer business was with Kane's departure in mind. They've strengthened in some areas, wherever he goes into a breakdown the window. But anyway, the main thing is, yeah, everything looks like it's done.
Yeah. All right. So Winks, Kane, sales, Roden loan, Spence loan, Reguilon loan, Tanganga loan. Tanganga can turn into an obligation. Reguilon most likely is going to be back here in January. And where does that leave him? Obviously, we're going to have to try and ship him off in January. Incomings are Vicario, Van de Ven, Maddison, Brennan Johnson, Solomon, Valise, and Phillips. If I'm looking at that and giving it a rating, we've lost our best player in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. So that's a massive down mark, obviously. Brought in Van de Ven, which has sorted out the left centre-back situation. We've brought in a goalkeeper, which has sorted out that situation. Maddison is an unbelievable signing. Brennan Johnson, I'm happy with, but I wouldn't call it like an unbelievable signing. So I think Vicario, Van de Ven, and Maddison, I'm extremely delighted with. Johnson, I'm happy with. The jury's out with Solomon, Valise, and Phillips.
Yeah.
I'm unhappy with the outgoings because I thought we need to get more permanents out there than loans because we're just in the same situation as we are next season. So I'm not looking at this transfer window that positively, to be honest. I'm looking at it 4.5, 5, maybe, something like that.
Well, I did the calculate. I know Brains did calculations before, but I did it as an average in my head. If I'm looking at the incomings, I gave it, if I gave 2 separate ratings for incomings and outgoings. Incomings, I gave it a 7 out of 10. which would have been obviously a lot higher if we would have got a centre-back or a midfielder or maybe another striker. But I gave incomings for who we brought in a 7 because I like the incomings. Yes, the jury's out on Solomon, Valise and Phillips. Have to wait and see on them. But I do like that. I think Maddison, Van der Ven, Vicario and Johnson, especially the other 3, are really going to make a major impact on our first team. And that's not hard to do in one window, to make 3 major impacts in your first team. So I think that's good.
And actually, I think Maddison, I'll even go to say that he could be value signing of the window out of the whole Premier League.
He could potentially be a 10 out of 10 signing, to be fair, just him alone. So I've given incomings an out of 10, but I've given outgoings as 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the only positive is Winks was a good fee, and we probably did well to get 100 million for Harry Kane given the circumstances. But at the end of the day, we did sell our best player. All the others have been loans, and we haven't been able to shift the crucial players to shift, which are Dyer and Sanchez, out of this club to allow for more incomings. We haven't been able to shift in Ndombele. There's been, Lloris has somehow lasted till deadline day still at this club.
The geezer literally, they said it on the website. I don't think they've ever done this before with any other player. They said it on the website. He's being left off the tour so he can explore transfer opportunities. And how is it past the deadline and we still haven't sorted out transfer for him?
Exactly. So if I take those 2 ratings, 7 for an incomings and 2 for outgoings, that's 9 out of 20. If you put out 10, 4.5. And that's what I've given it, a 4.5 out of 10, and that's very disappointing.
I got there with all that calculation.
You felt it, and I logically did it in my head. But there you go. Just also looks like Romano said Johnson's going to be announced at midnight, so that's about to happen basically. Okay. Not midnight, sorry, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. All right,
in 3 minutes.
That's about to happen.
And Nottingham Forest have just announced themselves, so Spurs' official announcement will be in 2 minutes' time.
All right, big up. All right, are we waiting for the announcement?
We got 2 minutes.
Well, if we've got 2 minutes, then we can tell everyone about our lovely brand new website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk. Go check it out. Unbelievable posts that we update every single day for you guys, and also go and check out our brand new channel, which we cover football all across Europe, which is called On the Ball. The link is in the description below for both websites and channel, so please do go and check them out. We've also got some lovely new merchandise coming on our website as well, so thank you everyone for your consistent and constant support.
Yeah, big up to everyone. So Brennan Johnson is moments well, Spurs have just tweeted a picture of an arrow, an archery bow and arrow. So I don't know why that means Brennan Johnson. Is that his celebration? Is that the celebration for Brennan Johnson? It must be, because they've just tweeted that. So that's an anticipation for the official announcement. So I guess we'll await that, and we'll see what Spurs have in store for us when it comes to the official announcement. Mason Greenwood's been announced for Getafe. So that's a very interesting move. It's going to cause a lot of people to give a lot of opinions, I reckon. But yeah, we'll give you the official announcement, which is imminent. Also, 1 minute to go till the window shuts as well, which is
the window shut for Spurs 4 minutes ago. So
yeah, true. When Ali Gold puts out that tweet, the window is closed.
You know, we've been waiting in this studio for that tweet to come out for the past 5 hours.
Put us out of our misery, Ali. Just say the tweet.
Oh, God, but big up to all 2,196 people in here. Everyone do go scroll down and smash that like button. We'll bring up Twitter in a second, showing you the announcement live as it happens. But let's go over to the Nottingham Forest Twitter first and see what they said about Brennan Johnson.
They've just put out a video. Let's look at some ratings for the window so far. Dave Mann's given it a 7 and a 5 out of 10 for the incomings and outgoings. Mark's given it a 4. Stay Humble's given it a 4. Paul Cowderoy's given it a 6 out of 10. Liam says, we've made some good additions, but not enough, so 6. Chris Mullett says 3 out of 10, and that's being positive. Dave Tan, 5.5 out of 10. Guido Decourt says 5 at best. And OC says we sold our striker without replacing. We only signed one defender, so 4 out of 10.
All right, well, let's go and have a look at the Nottingham Forest announcement for Brennan Johnson. So this is what is said on Twitter. Brennan Johnson has completed a permanent transfer to Tottenham Hotspur. Everyone at Nottingham Forest would like to thank Brennan for his outstanding contribution during his 14-year association with the club. And if we click the link and go to the Nottingham Forest website, you'll see there's a whole long statement on there which we can read through, saying Nottingham Forest can confirm the permanent transfer of Brennan Johnson to Tottenham Hotspur. The 22-year-old's departure brings an end to his 14-year association with the club, having joined Forest's academy at the age of 8. Johnson departs having made 108 senior appearances for Forest, scoring 29 goals. The forward made his first team debut for Forest against West Bromwich Albion in August 2019, and 2 years later, following an impressive loan spell with Lincoln City in Sky Bet League One, he scored his first professional goal for Forest in a 1-1 draw against Derby County at Pride Park. Johnson went on to play an influential role in Forest promotion to the Premier League that season, scoring 16 goals in the regular Sky Bet Championship season before netting in both legs of the playoff semi-final against Sheffield United. Johnson was subsequently named in the Championship Young Player of the season and was also named in Championship Team of the season as a result of his impressive form. The Wales international scored 10 goals in 44 games across all competitions last season, with 8 of those goals coming in 38 Premier League outings. The Departs having started in each of Forest's opening 3 league games this season. Nottingham Forest head coach Steve Cooper said, "Whilst we're obviously going to miss Brennan and the memories he's given us, many of us, while he's lit up the City ground on the right wing, we're extremely proud of him and we're pleased that he's got the move as he enters the next stage in his career. Everyone knows how great he is on the pitch, but what many people don't see is the kind, humble and genuine young man he is off it. He was always learning, always showed great humility and a superb nature in the way he interacted with his teammates and staff. All credit must go to his family, especially his mum and dad, Alison and David, who should be proud of the incredible young man they have raised. He'll be missed by everyone. He will always be a Red." Well, no, he won't always be a Red. That's for sure. And everyone at Nottingham Forest would like to thank Brennan for his immense contribution during his time with the club and wishes him every success for the future. And you know what? That is really nice words from Steve
Very
Cooper,
classy.
isn't it?
But look, let's get over to the Spurs official Twitter because we have an official announcement.
All right, let's go over to Spurs official and let's see what we got cooking up over here. Is it the same rubbish that we've seen for every other transfer?
I actually don't think it is. It's just a picture this time.
Well, it started off with a bow and arrow, didn't it?
Is that a celebration?
5 minutes ago.
Is that a celebration, a bow and arrow? I can't remember.
Must be.
Must be a celebration. Could people in the chat tell me?
And then,
but there we go.
You've got there. We're delighted to announce the signing of Brennan Johnson. Let's go, Brennan. And let's see what it says on the Spurs website.
There's a lovely picture of Brennan Johnson holding up the Spurs shirt. It suits him.
Yeah, and well, I don't know what's going on the screen. It's taking a while to load.
Apologies.
Spurs' website seems to be in overdrive at the moment.
And he's got a number. Can you guess the number? Oh, don't see. Can you guess what number he wears? They've given him a number.
14.
It's not 14.
What is it?
Number 22.
22. Robbie Keane.
He'll wear the number 22 shirt.
All right, well, let's read the statement on the Spurs website saying, "We are delighted to announce the signing of Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. The Wales international forward has agreed a deal with the club that will run until 2029. He will wear the number 22 shirt. Born in Nottingham, Brennan 22. I mean, I literally just read this word for word on the Forest website, so there's probably no point reading it again.
Is the pictures working for you? It seems it is working for you. Okay, so there should be a picture of him signing the contract for some. I've got also, for me, it's not working on the computer. It doesn't seem to be working as well. Maybe give it a refresh. I don't know if that would
it's
trigger
go
the picture.
Completely white screen again if you do the refresh.
But look, maybe we can get just a picture of him signing the shirt again. But anyway, there we go, an official announcement. And I, for one, am very excited about the prospect of Brennan Johnson in the Spurs shirt. I think he's going to offer us something different on the right wing. I think he's a really good young player. I think people sleep on his goal contributions in the Premier League and also in the Championship. I think he's a really good finisher. I think he's a player who's improving year on year, in my opinion. He adds crucial pace to the front line, which we don't have at the moment. And I think he makes our team more unpredictable, different avenues of attack. And I think he's improved improving. And I think he's going to only get more goal contributions as he gets plays with better players and in a better team. And you got to remember, Nottingham Forest have been a team who don't have much possession in the final third and very much sitting deep and counter-attacking. So for me, I think he's going to be a really good addition to the Spurs front line. I think people being negative about him maybe think that all he is what he's shown last year in the Premier League and he can't improve. And I, for one, I think he's a young player at 22 to be at the level he's at is impressive. And I think he's only going to get better. So I think get excited.
All right, so big up Brennan Johnson, our brand new signing. As much as we're frustrated with the squad, defensive, the centre backs and the left back going into the new season, I think we can be equally as excited about Brennan Johnson coming to Tottenham Hotspur. He's a player, like my brother said, who's got extreme ability. He's lightning quick as well, and definitely knows where the back of the net is. So much looking forward to seeing him in a Spurs shirt and his debut. Do you think he makes his debut against Sheffield United? Then he'll probably come off the bench, won't he?
Yeah, I assume so. He'll probably be involved in the squad. I think he's definitely going to be straight into the squad. I don't see a reason why not. And also, I think it's important that despite our frustrations with the hierarchy, I don't think people should kind of put their frustrations of the hierarchy onto someone like Johnson just because they're not happy with the window. I think he's a good signing in his own right. I think he is a good player, and I don't think we should like call him average or rubbish just because we're frustrated with some elements of how the window's gone. I think this deal in isolation is a good signing, and I think he's a good young player and we should welcome him.
Yeah, I mean, like, people so easily can just go either one way or the other. I mean, you can easily say how happy you are with certain signings and also voice your frustration with other parts of the window. And I think this is exactly what that represents.
Exactly. And I think, well, have they done another little video here?
Oh yeah, bring that up. There you go.
There's Brennan Johnson with the bow and arrow.
So what did they quickly go? All right, Brennan's coming. Let's go quickly find a bow and arrow somewhere.
Yeah. They've planned it. There's not even an arrow in there. Come on. Get the arrow. Levy
health and safety, mate.
No, Levy skimping out on the arrows. That's what he's doing. He's like, we just need the bow, right? We don't need to invest in any arrows. But I love it. No, but fair enough. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see him in a Spurs shirt.
We've got our own new Welsh wizard at the club, which is Brennan Johnson.
Isn't that the Cavani celebration? Is he taking it for Cavani?
I don't know. But it's the Brennan Johnson celebration now, that's for sure. But that is the announcement for Brennan Johnson. No more business left for Tottenham Hotspur to do. Now it's just football to focus on and just Premier League to focus on as well. But that's it. Let's go on to our callers and see what they have to say. Who do we have up first?
Oh, they both left.
Who have we got?
Bringing people in. Bear with
Mr. Box Office.
Oh, here we go. But yeah, look, why is people spamming the chat about Lukaku? Like, I don't. Is this just a joke? I know it's a joke, but like, what? I don't get it. Like,
he literally signed for Roma.
He played for Roma tonight.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I don't understand why people are spamming it, but I appreciate it.
How are we living in a world, by the way, when West Ham are top of the league?
Oh, whatever. It won't last. It won't last. Rob Holding has completed his move to Crystal Palace. And Lakonga's completed his move to Luton, who was actually at the game tonight.
How the hell? Please tell me how Arsenal can get Rob Holding out, but we can't get Dyer or Sanchez out.
Because they sold him for 4 million. That's why, and they accepted it. We had a 7 million bid for Sanchez, and we rejected it. That's the difference. Anyway, let's go to our guests, and let's start off with Mr. Box Office. The truth bombs are going to come out now. How you doing, Alex?
Well, you know how Mr. Box Office rolls every single time, you know what I mean? You know how it goes every single time, you know? It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well, my friend.
It's good to see you guys. I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I was bored of this transfer window a long time ago, and I'm just sitting there watching people going absolutely ape about this football club, the way they do the business. But what do you expect? What did you expect? Yeah. Like, I'm not being funny, but it's like I was just sitting there thinking, well, I know my football club. I mean, the only thing I'm interested in is when Postecoglou's, and I've said it on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV already, if this guy has a bad run of how many games with no wins, what's going to happen? You know what I mean?
He needs to be given time.
People to start shouting.
Be given time.
Well, bro, tell the board that then. When he has a bad run of how many games? You know what I mean? Because I actually want Ange to say, I want fans to say Ange out, and then I want to see this board to stick up for him and say we're sticking with him, like they did with Arteta, with Arsenal and Brighton. That's when I'll start backing this process. Yes, we are playing very good football. You were sitting next to me, Ben, on the Man United game. I said we're playing good football already, yeah. But I have my reservations. I told you why I got my reservations.
You wouldn't sing Big
People,
Ange's name, though.
pardon?
You wouldn't sing Big Ange's name.
No, I'm not going to sing Big Ange's name because I told you when I'm going to back this manager. I told you when. Because
Forget
I
the
don't
board.
believe
Why don't you
in
back the
anything to do
manager?
with this. Pardon?
Why don't you back the manager?
Because I'm not getting paid to back the manager, Bob. You know what I mean?
But that's what supporters do, don't they? That's what supporters do, don't they?
That need to back this manager when he has a bad run. Yeah? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see this manager lasting the season.
Alex, does
Sorry,
supporters
that's an
have no
achievement for
role?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Does supporters have no role to back the manager?
No, because at the end of the day, it's for the board to back what they believed in June. That's it. Simple as that. And talk to Arsenal fans. When Arteta was, Arsenal fans were saying, Arteta, get out our club, get out our club. What did Arsenal do? They backed him.
Yeah.
They ignored him. Look what happened. They got second in the table last season. Yeah. When everyone was going off about Brighton, yeah, Brighton when Graham Potter was just playing good football and he was just mid-table. What did they do? They backed him. Yeah. Then he went off to Chelsea. Look what happened. Deserbi comes in. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got the below average Jamie Vardy at our club now. Johnson, thank you very much. You know what I mean?
Do you not like
Let's
him
see
as a
whether
signing?
we can get that
Do you not
going.
like him?
Vardy was a good player, wasn't he?
Well, I
Do you
said
not
he's
like him?
okay. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Like, but like I said, we are building. So I'm not expecting top four. If you're building for this club, yeah, you keep it going. Whether you get eighth, and you move on. You know what I mean? That's a building club. You know what I mean?
Alex, before we make predictions about going on bad runs and all that kind of stuff and all doom and gloom, rate the window for me. Give me a overview of the window of what you think. 4.
I don't rate Sim. You know me. I don't rate transfer windows. I don't play FIFA. I'll give you a 4. I'll give you a 4. Well, I said no, because I'm answering the question because I'm told I don't answer questions. Yeah.
No, it's fine, Alex. Tell me what you're happy with and what you're not happy with the window.
Bro, I told you Maddison is a great player. I said Maddison's a good player. I said Van de Ven, okay. Yeah, he's good. I think everyone's going over the top about him, saying, oh, he's brilliant and everything else. Long term, let's see what happens then. I said Solomon, okay. You know what I mean? Vicario, good. Good. You know what I mean? Like, with Phillips, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? It's just like, listen, I'm a long-term guy, not a short-term guy. Yeah? Because I've seen this before, bruv. I'm a straight shooter every single time. Yeah? And let's talk about, because I'm not negative, Sim. I'm Mr. Box Office. I talk the truth every single time,
mate. I gave them rating of 4.5 out of 10, so we're on a similar page.
Let's get to the point about the Fulham game, yeah? Right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's saying about, because I sent you the video, Sim. I sent you the video, Ben. By the way, if you did share it, fantastic. Thank you very much, Bob. Yeah, but I told you on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV, he did that, put a second string team out because he knew, yeah, he might have to rely on those players, yeah, come end of the season if we get injuries. Yeah, he did what Manchester City do at every single time beginning of the season. Yeah, right. And that's what every manager does. Pochettino does it. Pochettino does it. Eddie Howe does it. All the managers do this. They try out players in cup games because they know business time of the season, they're going to have to rely on those players if they get injured. Yeah? Right? That's why I wasn't that bothered about players going out because I knew they weren't going out. I knew it. So that's why I just like sat there and thought, it's every single season now. I don't care anymore. Yeah? Right? And if you want to go there about us, well, we need to be together. Yeah? Which we're not together. We're not all together. One man, Daniel Levy, yeah? Because of one man, Daniel Levy, we're never going to be together. Yeah? Until he goes, we are never going to be together. And he's never leaving. So I'm giving up. Yeah? All I'm gonna do is do what Kluver, my boy Kluver, by the way, big up to you, by the way, every single time. And Asthmatic as well, my boy Asthmatic, yeah, even though he plays too much FIFA, I love him, yeah, right. but yeah, like I said, yeah, all I want to see is good football. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride, and that's it. And if I get an 8th, I don't give a damn, yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you back your man, the board, yeah, you back your man, regardless what the results are, yeah. If as long as we don't get relegated, you back your man, yeah, and you stick by your man, yeah, and stick by what your word was saying in June, and that's it, yeah, and that's all I need to say, and that's it, and that's the truth. Come from Mr. Box Office, the main event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the ratings killer, according to some YouTubers, yeah, other than you two that respect Mr. Box Office, yeah, and if you don't know, get to know. That's it. I'm done, and I'm out of here. Bye bye.
Big up, Alex.
That's it. And away he goes.
Let's get a few
Big up, Alex.
Let's get a few super chats in. Michael from Poland, member for 18 months. Big up, Michael, says, get Tosin in FFS. It's a joke if we leave this window with Sanchez and Dyer as primary backups. Disgrace. Well, that's exactly what we have done.
Yeah, correct.
Vinicius Carrera says VDV, Madders or Romero injury and the season is over. Do you agree with the Madders one?
Do I agree with the Maddison one? Look, I do think it would be very bad if he got a long-term injury, but I think if it was a few games, I think Lo Celso could fill in. I do.
Paul Calderoy says Dyer refusing. He's forcing them to cancel his contract. Do you think that's what he's doing?
I don't know what he's playing at the moment, to be honest.
I mean, can we even afford to cancel his contract now? We
can't. We can't cancel his contract. We're in a position where we have to rely on him. So we can't. If he's forcing us to cancel his contract, then he's not doing a very good job.
Well, you say that we have to rely on him now, but you were saying before that you prefer to see Phillips or Dorrington ahead of Dyer.
I mean, I would, but I don't know if they're ready. So if they're not ready, then we're going to have to rely on him.
Dyer ain't ready either.
Yeah, I know. I don't want Dyer part of the team, and I would roll the dice on Dorrington and Phillips. But if Postecoglou isn't comfortable doing that, then we're going to have to rely on Dyer, and that's the situation.
Purav Bart saying Brian and Kulu can play as an advanced 8 as we now have Johnson. Do you think that's a possibility, actually, if Maddison gets a long-term injury that potentially Brian Hill or Kulusevski could take?
Definitely Kulusevski. I would have Brian Hill potentially as well, but I don't think he's played number 10 too many times. So I definitely think Kulusevski can. And I think that would definitely be something to consider if he doesn't fancy Lo Celso.
Another one from Paul Calderoy saying window started so well, now it's a shit show. It's hard to disagree.
It's pretty much been shit ever since we sold Kane.
Yeah. Well, who was the last signing before Kane?
Because we had Maddison, Vicario and Van de Ven all before Kane, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it's not been good.
A while before Kane left, wasn't it?
Yeah. Ever since we sold Kane, the window's been terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe players have looked at us and think, I don't have Kane, I don't want to join. I don't know. I'm just there thinking out loud.
Gear says should be very excited about Brennan Johnson, and here in the studio we are very excited about Brennan Johnson. Ian JD says African Nations Cup will cripple us, poor window. And actually, in terms of the AFCON, we're very lucky that the winter break actually coincides with the AFCON, a 2-week break in the Premier League while the AFCON is on. And I think
that was by design, though.
Yeah, well, whether it's by design or not, it's still a good thing for us. And also, I think if a team gets to the final of the AFCON, I think the maximum amount of games that a player can miss, I think, is 3. I believe. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's not too much. The only thing is, will they get injured there as well?
Yeah.
Will they be tired? I don't know how many games they have to play if they go through to the final. But I'm guessing it's similar to a World Cup or a Euros, where they're going to have 3 group games and they're going to have quarters, semis, final at least. So that's at least 6 games in a short space of time. So how that affects them physically is something to consider. But look, I think over a short period of time, yes, Sarr and Bissouma would be a big miss, but I think we can cover over a short period of time.
What have we got? We got Bissouma at Mali. We got Pape Sarr at Senegal.
Yeah.
So I mean, are either of those going to go far? Do you reckon?
Senegal might.
Senegal might. Good team. You don't imagine Mali going that far.
Don't imagine Mali would, but you never know. There's Zambia once won it. So you never really know with the AFCON. But look, Bentancur will be back then as well, hopefully. So hopefully that will lighten the load.
Yeah. Nigel Gates says Lloris's old club were after him tonight. Yep, but he rejected them. And AT says, so Ndombele and Lloris are staying. Well, you say that. I mean, Ange's already confirmed that Lloris ain't going to be in the Premier League squad, and that leaves Ndombele, which I don't believe he'll be in the Premier League squad either, to be honest.
So there has to be a solution found for both of them.
All right, let's go on to our next guest, coming on for the second time today, Mikey.
Oh, sorry, I can go if you want.
What? No.
What are you talking about?
Not.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I had
Talk
nothing
to me,
better
Mikey.
to do.
What's your feeling now? The window is slammed shut. We've brought in Brennan Johnson today. What's your feeling about the window now it's all said and done?
I've had more time to reflect on it, and I've kind of changed up my rankings. But I give the overall window a 6 out of 10. Incomings 8 out of 10. Outgoings 4 out of 10. There simply wasn't enough done. I know it was a tall order to get everything done in one window. Obviously, you're not expecting a FIFA career mode style exodus, but there wasn't enough. The prices that we were quoting for some of our deadwood is a joke. Arsenal let Rob Holding go for 4 million, and I think I speak for myself at least when I say Rob Holding, to me, better player than Eric Dyer, and we're quoting a price 3 times that just for Eric Dyer. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with Hugo Lloris rejecting Newcastle and Nice. I don't know what his mind is. Maybe he's set on a Saudi Arabian move before the end of the Saudi Arabian window. I don't know, but the outgoings just haven't come.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I mean, I think 6 is a bit of a stretch, to be honest. When you're looking at us selling our best ever player in our lifetimes in Harry Kane, not bringing in another striker. I do accept that we've brought in good players in this window, but there are still a lot of players that we've brought in where the jury's out. I think when you're looking at the cover at centre-back, I think it's a massive, massive failure of the club. And also you're looking at the left-back situation where you've got Destiny, and the cover for him is Ben Davis and Ryan Sessegnon, which ain't great either. So I think we've left ourselves very light in certain positions. And if we get an injury, we're really going to feel that massively. So I can't help but feel negative about this transfer window, and I can't help but give it like a 4.5, 5 at a massive stretch.
I completely see your point. I do. I think the left back situation, I agree that, for me, out of all 3 of the names that we had after Destiny, you got Reguilon, Davis, and Sessegnon. I mean, it's pretty clear who the better player is out of those 3, and we've let him go. That doesn't, especially to a rival fans might clown this, but to a positional rival in the Premier League, we have aspirations of getting into the Champions League. So do Manchester United. So ultimately, that does seem a little bit. But I guess it was just to get, maybe appease the fans, get one of the names that was quoted on. But Reguilon wasn't that high on the exit list. It was the Eric Dyers, the Davinson Sanchez's, the Ndombeles, the Llorises that were high on the exit list, and we haven't managed to shift any of them yet. Obviously, there are the Saudi transfer window, and they like to sign a random player, so that is still an option. But I don't imagine Jordan Henderson did it, but I don't imagine Eric Dyer rocking up in Saudi Arabia anytime soon. So, that's an issue that we have to deal with.
Has your aspirations for this season changed at all now the transfer window is said and done? And what do you think Spurs can achieve this season?
Yes, they have changed. My aspiration for this transfer window, when the deadline day rumours broke, was to get in Lloyd Kelly. I know it's not an inspirational signing, but at least it would be genuine left-footed cover at centre-back that's not Ben Davis. And I think Højbjerg out and Gallagher in would have been good business, because Gallagher is a workhorse in the midfield, and he apparently if he replaces Højbjerg, I think Gallagher's a better player than Højbjerg. So maybe that would give us the cover we need. Ultimately, it's another body that we haven't managed to get rid of. It's clear Højbjerg don't want to be here, but he's going to be forced to stay and going to be forced to be our DM cover now, which isn't great news for anyone involved, because obviously he hasn't shown the performance levels, especially Fulham, and he doesn't want to stay. But the nature of Tottenham's transfer strategy is think later, do now, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. What's our ceiling now in terms of what we can achieve this season, given that now the window's closed and this is what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the season?
Well, I think a lot of fans see fifth as a failure, but you've got to remember that with the new UCL rules, if I'm correct in thinking, fifth now does get fifth in the top two coefficient leagues of UEFA, which is currently England and Spain, get you a place in the revamped Champions League table. So fifth will get us Champions League qualification next season. Fifth isn't too far of a shout, in my opinion, especially with our early promising league form. I know it's only 3 games in, and I'm sure as the season progresses, those aims will either increase, one would hope, or decrease, one would not hope. And so we're looking at, I think Europa League qualification is where I think I see us most likely finishing. Our ceiling could be 4th or 5th, depending on, the failings of other clubs. But, Man United have plugged their big hole with Amrabat. So, we'll see what happens. And Reguilon as well. It's still very raw. The transfer window only closed 25 minutes ago. It's all still very raw in the mind, and I'm sure after the game tomorrow, those aspirations will change yet again based on the performance levels that we show. But I think 5th, 6th, Europa League / scraping into the UCL, that is right about where I see us.
Would you be happy with that? Does that consist of a good season for us, seeing as we did finish 8th last season?
I think qualifying for the Champions League for any club that's not Manchester City is a good achievement. I say that because for Man City, it's almost a guarantee. It's the minimum you can achieve. So I say for any club that's not Manchester City, getting into the Champions League is a good enough achievement to consider it a 7 out of 10 season, regardless. But I think we're all eyeing up the FA Cup, going, you know what? Don't mess it up.
We better go. That's got to be our priority, right? The FA Cup now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think qualifying for European football is always an added bonus, but right now you look at that, you think, we're going to start off. I don't know where non-European clubs start out in the FA Cup, but we're going to be starting out with at least 7 or 8 games to play till the final, so they've got to be treated like a final. Each of those games has to be treated like a final until the final itself. That's got to be our priority.
Mikey, 5th or FA Cup?
FA Cup. FA Cup.
4th or FA Cup?
Absolutely, the FA Cup. But unless you tell me first or the FA Cup, it'll always be the FA Cup.
So 2nd or FA Cup?
FA Cup. League run. We were the league runners up in 2016-17, and that was our best hit. That was our best season in terms of domestically in modern memory. So,
all right, title race till the last day of the season or FA Cup. But you
I don't want to lose it on the last day of the season.
But you got the chance to win a title last game of the season.
But it's us. No. All right, I take the title race till the end of the season. But title race with who? I don't know. But I would obviously winning the Premier League would obviously be the crowning achievement. I'd rather win the Premier League than the Champions League, in my opinion. That's my honest reaction, because you've been the best in your country over a 38 game 9-month season versus 13 games. I think it's a lot more prestigious to win your domestic title, in my opinion. But the FA, if we're being even the most I shouldn't say delusional, I should say optimistic of Spurs fans, will look at the winning the title and go, that would be a monumental achievement. But I think our ceiling kind of hits 4th, 5th, 6th, but 4th, 5th, 6th. But man, I'm looking at that FA Cup and thinking, if we don't take it seriously again, I know it's a project, but god damn it, I'm going to be fuming. Obviously, if we meet like a top 6, if we meet like a Man United or a Man City in the first round, then that's just bad luck on our part. But we have to take it seriously.
We'll do them. But Mikey, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend. We'll see you next time.
Welcome. Yeah.
What are you taking?
FA Cup or Champions League football? I'd probably take the FA Cup. I want that trophy monkey off my back. I want to win a trophy. I want to see Spurs achieve something. Champions League football is nice, but you know what? We had Champions League football last season and didn't exactly improve the mood too much. And I just think that the FA Cup would improve the mood so much among the fan base.
Going into the Champions League with Big Ange.
Yeah, that would also be great, but then we can do that the following year.
No, the following year.
We'll do it the following year. So I want the FA Cup.
To be fair, going into the Europa League with Big Ange,
Yeah, exactly.
do you think we've got a big chance to win it?
Look, it's too early to say. He's been managing 3 games, and I don't know what the squad will look like in a year's time, but why not?
Shall we bring this next guy on?
I don't know. Does he deserve it?
I don't think we should bring him on. Shall we?
No, man.
All right, we'll bring him on. KPV, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Second time today. What's going on, boys?
We are Tottenham TV here.
Yes, yes, guys. You know, Tom, it's your boy KV. We are Tottenham TV.
KPV, we'll let you host this call in. Go on, you ask.
All right, fair enough. Like, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'll start with Sim. Like,
Go.
what would you take, Sim? Would you take FA Cup or like top 4?
He just answered that question.
Taking the FA Cup, Kyle. What are you taking, Kyle?
Both, man. I want both. Like,
Both. Great answer.
yeah, I want both. Like, fifth gets us Champions League with the new wall. I know we'll be in that next season if we finish fifth and get the FA Cup. Then that would be an amazing achievement. People are saying, "Oh, you finished fifth and won the FA Cup. That's still not successful." Are people taking the Schmeichel? Like, it is a successful season. Like, we finished fourth in 2012 and Chelsea won that Champions League. If Bayern won it, we would have been in it. But those lot won in Munich. Lucky bastards. Like, Sammy, I don't care. You were lucky. So, lucky, mate. But you bowled in 2008, mate. Like, they lost 2
Carl,
cups.
what would you rate this window out of 10?
3.
3 out of 10. Very harsh. Why 3?
Like, wait, let me tell you something first. Incomings, I'll give it a 7, but overall, I'll say a 5. Like,
You
incoming.
just said 3.
No, change of planners. Like, change of planners. Like, incoming, Kulu, permanent, Poro, permanent. 2 players who can play right wing, but I'd rather maybe put Poro, like, maybe a right back or something, because I know he's not. Oh, Brennan Johnson has just got a message for us fans. Nice one. Welcome to the club, mate.
This is what he says.
Can't wait to get going.
Read it.
This is what he says, people.
Oh, shut up.
Hi guys, Brennan Johnson here. Absolutely delighted to sign for Spurs. Can't wait to get going.
And I
Not even a
believe,
come on, you Spurs.
I believe every word of it. Yeah, everyone says come on, you Spurs. What happened to
Even
come on,
remember
you
Davinson
Spurs?
Sanchez. Come on, the Spur.
He said, come on, the Spurs. We didn't say COYS. Like, I'm fuming. Why have we still got Dyer and Sanchez and Lloris here? Like, Arsenal got rid of Holding for 4 million and we rejected the 7 million. Like, why did we not get rid of the Colombian centre back? Like, what are we doing? Not great. We should, like someone used to say, there used to be a football club over there. And we're not.
Who said
big.
that?
Like, someone that told me to say there used to be a football club over there.
You know who it was?
Who was it? Go ahead.
It was the great Keith Birkinshaw.
Yeah, that must have been in his 50s, Bob. That must have been in his 50s.
No, it was in the 80s.
Well, 80s, whatever. I don't care, but there used to be a football club over there. Like, we didn't bring in another striker and another centre-back. Like, Chalobah, I never wanted him. Like, Chelsea Tottenham don't do business, but the Chelsea are our biggest rivals. William Gallas, he's played for Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. And, yeah, he's played 3 London clubs. Didn't win anything with Arsenal when he won the Premier League twice with Chelsea. So
Carl, given after this window has happened now, where do you think we're going to finish the season?
Oh, fuck's sake. 5th.
Fifth.
Why are you asking that? Why are you asking
I
that?
want to know your prediction. Where are we going to finish now the window's closed?
Top 4, man. I want 4th and the FA Cup. Then we can get back in the Champions League. That's where we belong. Those bottle jobs don't belong in it. We do. Like, I've seen the Champions League draw group, and Seville's going to win the group, and they'll finish second. But let's be honest, they could get Bayern Munich in the last 16. Kane would just knock them out. So hopefully they finish second, and Bayern finish top of their group with Man United, and they'll get Arsenal and knock them out because they can't beat Bayern Munich anyway. So who cares? Like, I'm happy with Brennan Johnson signing. So, people, you know what to do. Put him in your team. He'll make his debut home against Sheffield United. He'll come off the bench and score winner. So, yeah, Rafael van der Vaart vibe, people.
Yeah, Ravel,
Bring him
exactly.
to-
Let's hope Johnson is as successful as Van der Vaart
Yeah,
was.
let's hope he scores as many goals against Arsenal as Rafa did.
Exactly.
But KPV, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend. Have a good night. And
Good
up the
man.
Spurs for tomorrow.
And as always, Levy out, Daigle in. And I'm out, people. And as I said, La Bosch, that was Super Ollie TM Pickford on Instagram. And La Bosch.
La Bosch, a new exit phrase for the great KPV.
Have we got anyone else? All right. So that brings an end to transfer deadline day.
It's been quite a day.
We've been here in the studio from around 11 o'clock till 11:30. So a big shift, guys. So thank you, everyone, for coming and joining us. There was a poll on the live chat as well saying Champions League over FA Cup winners. 72% of you said no. So 72% of you would rather see FA Cup than a Champions League finish. And it's hard to disagree, to be honest, because we haven't won a trophy since 2008. We haven't won the FA Cup since 1991. And it's crazy to think, like, when we won the FA Cup in 91, that was a record time. Eight times. And now, like, there's like Arsenal who have like nearly doubled what we've done. It's madness. It's absolutely madness.
Correct. And I just think if there's, I think right now, in terms of where we're at in this project, I think Champions League football would be very nice, but it's not an absolute necessity. But to win that trophy, I think the fan base would just be so over the moon with that. In fact, look, Champions League football will be good, and I think it'll be a very good achievement. We got it. But I think right now, what we all really want is that trophy. And that was why it hurt so much to bow out the Carabao Cup like we did, because it just felt like the club again just didn't feel the importance of what a trophy means right now to this club.
Yeah.
And that was what was really disappointing. So I hope we take the FA Cup seriously, and that should be our priority.
Yeah. And like, I know we're light in a few areas like we keep going over, but with now no Carabao Cup, with now no European football, we should be able to fight on both fronts, FA Cup and Premier League, seeing as the FA Cup is just weekends anyway. So we're pretty much, apart from if there's a Premier League midweek game, or I think there's one FA Cup midweek game this year, their 5th round, we should be able to just play a game a week and go for both, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason why not.
Yeah, I think we should have the squad capable of doing that. And yes, there are fears if, a centre-back gets injured or whatnot, but I think right now, in terms of our team, we have a good team. We do have a good team, and we have improved that first 11 this window. And those are positive things, and we could all hope for more. And I think we're right to, and I think fans are right to be frustrated with some of the business that we haven't done or some of the players we haven't sold. But at the end of the day, we have got a good first 11. We have improved it. I think we've seen some great football already this season and to show what we're capable of. So I think we still have a very good season.
In terms of our starting 11, you're saying it's very good, but where do you think on paper it stacks up in the league? Where on paper should it finish in the league?
Well, on paper,
yeah.
I think on paper, we probably have a better first 11 than Newcastle. I think probably better than Brighton. I still think it's better than Villa. So I think we're probably in the top 6.
Probably 6th, right? Man United.
The thing is, Man United depends a lot depends on Højlund, how he adapts. I think on paper we're probably our first 11 is probably comparable to Man United's. Because I think when they've got Mount there, but I rate Maddison higher. Obviously, Bruno's very good, but I think Basuma's at the moment playing at a higher level than Casemiro. Son and Rashford's probably ahead of him at the moment, but he's out of form as well. But obviously, he's had a very good season last season where Son didn't. On the right,
I was going to say Casemiro's ahead of Basuma.
Anthony, as a career, he is.
No, on paper, like Basuma's showing better form over the first 3 games, but solely on paper, when you're looking at who's been better over the past year, for example, it's Casemiro.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, obviously, yeah. Casemiro was great last season. I'll take Kulusevski over Anthony. The back line, I would probably take Porro over Wan-Bissaka. I'll probably take Udogie or Luke Shaw.
Udogie or Reguilon, mate.
Or Reguilon. United fans will probably say Luke Shaw, but Udogie's showing a lot of things right now. The back two, I mean, Varane's obviously very good, and Martinez. I rate Romero over Martinez, but then it's hard to make a judgment for Van de Ven over Varane now.
Doesn't Martinez play on the left? So you're probably arguing Van de Ven against Martinez, Varane against Romero.
Yeah, if I do that, then I'm not getting any Spurs. so I've got to do it the other way to get Spurs in. So I think it's pretty even. Onana's probably ahead of Vicario, but I think on paper maybe United shade it, but it's close.
Chelsea?
I think we're better than Chelsea on paper.
And then the rest you'd probably say are quite comfortably better than us on paper. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City.
Yeah. Those three, 100%. And then I think it's close between us, Chelsea, and United on paper. So we're probably in a battle for Newcastle. So we're probably in a battle for top 5 or top 6.
All right. But also, the way you got to caveat it as well, they've probably got better cover and better squads than we do.
But they got more games.
They've got more games.
Swings and roundabouts.
Apart from Chelsea.
But we're better than them on
Carabao
paper.
Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's just go through these super chats before we go. AT says, so Ndombele and Lloris are staying. Well, I read that one out before. And Rambro says, who makes Ange's 25-man squad? Well, if you did look at we'll just bring this graphic on for him one more time. So that is the squad in its entirety. Lloris has been confirmed as not being playing in the Premier League squad this year, and we imagine Ndombele will be the one to miss out. So there is your 25-man squad.
Exactly, because the homegrown is a minimum of 8, but the non-homegrown is a maximum of 17. So we have to leave out 2 of those non-homegrown players. Yeah, and it makes sense right now. It's going to be Ndombele and Lloris. Lloris is probably, we haven't really cancelled his contract, have we? So I don't know where that leaves him, to be honest, unless there's something that's coming. Maybe he can be a coach, exactly, a goalkeeping coach. That'd be great. But yeah, if he wanted to find another club to play for this season, he would have to have had his contract cancelled before the deadline, and that didn't happen. So bit of a weird situation there, but I imagine he's not going to be involved, and neither is Ndombele.
All right, well, that is us over and out. If you're still looking for some more Spurs content around YouTube, the Irish Hotspur is live right now. So go over there and show them some love. We're out. We'll be back tomorrow for the live watch along with Sim and Sai for the Burnley game in the studio. I'll be making the long trek up to Burnley, leaving at probably about 7:30 in the morning, something like that. So I need to go home and get some sleep before that long trip up there. But looking forward to it. Hopefully the fans will be in full voice once again. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.